Yo, welcome back everyone. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. And today, we're going to be doing What If Deku Had a Karma Seal? And if there's no more further introductions, let's just jump straight into the intro.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Okay, so we start off this what if with Deku being born, but Deku's not born regularly. He's actually the son of an Otsutsuki. But the rest of the Otsutsuki clan disapproved of what this Otsutsuki did, as they thought this was horrendous and that this shouldn't have been happening. And he didn't even get any chocolate fruit from this planet. So they decided to kill this Otsutsuki since he was just a useless Otsutsuki. So they ambushed this Otsutsuki and severely injured him. As he has his final, deathbed, he decides to teleport to Inko and Izuku. And Izuku's still a baby here. But Inko immediately rushes in, holding baby Izuku, as she notices the Otsutsuki, who just teleported to her. As she holds the Otsutsuki, asking him what happened. As the Otsutsuki tells Inko that he won't be her for much longer. As he tells Inko that he loves her. As he grabs Izuku and plants a karma on it. As he tells Inko that he planted a karma, a technique learned from the Otsutsuki clan, and that he won't be taking over his son's body, but he will give him the power to rebel over the other Otsutsukis, and to make sure the Otsutsuki clan goes down. As Inko starts crying, seeing her Otsutsuki husband die. As Izuku's dad dies, all of a sudden, the karma on Izuku's hand starts to grow, as it also starts to glow green. As Inko's wondering what this is, she realizes that her husband's dead. As she thinks to herself that she will do everything in her power to make sure that Izuku's safe, and that she will make sure that Izuku will be able to defeat the Otsutsuki. So now we're gonna have a little time skip here. Izuku's gonna be around the age of 4. And when Izuku might be a little kid, but he's extremely strong. His mom put him through multiple martial art trainings so Izuku can get strong to defeat the Otsutsuki. And his mom didn't pull back on everything. She told Izuku everything, telling him about his father and the Otsutsuki clan, and how his destiny is to defeat them. As Izuku's still a bit scared, but since it's still our same Deku, he gets excited since he looks up toward All Might, and seeing that he might be able to save the world, he thinks to himself that he might be just like All Might, and decides that he will do his destiny and he will become strong enough to defeat the Otsutsuki clan. And since Izuku's half Otsutsuki, he is pretty strong, but this doesn't mean that Izuku doesn't like going outside and playing with his friends and Bakugo and stuff like that. He still likes, watching YouTube videos of All Might and how he saves people, as he's still amazed in how All Might's so strong and how he's saving all these people and wants to be just like All Might, as he trains even harder to make sure that he can achieve his goal. But this doesn't mean that he doesn't like, playing with his friends and doing all the other stuff that he did as a kid. So this still means that both Bakugo and Izuku have somewhat of a relationship here. So that basically means that Bakugo is still kind of jealous of Izuku, seeing all the martial art training he's doing and how strong he really is. As he gets his quirk one day, as explosions start appearing out of his hand, as he asks his mom if he can also do some martial art training just like Izuku since he has a quirk now. As his mom sees a reason why not to. She puts him in martial arts training as well, as both Izuku and Bakugo start doing martial art trainings together. But this doesn't build any sort of bond between them, as Bakugo always thought that he was superior to Izuku since he has a quirk and Izuku doesn't. As he starts bullying a kid one day for not having a cool quirk, Izuku notices what Bakugo's doing and steps in, telling Bakugo that's not what a hero would do. As Bakugo starts chuckling, telling Izuku to step aside. As he was about to attack the kid, Izuku stands right in front of him and gets into a fighting stance. As Bakugo gets annoyed, as he starts to show Izuku the explosions in his hands, as he tells Izuku to step aside or else he's gonna get hurt. As Izuku stands his ground, Bakugo immediately rushes in and is about to blow an explosion straight at Izuku's face, but Izuku dodges it. But Bakugo had another explosion coming from behind that hit Izuku's stomach as Izuku flies behind. But when Izuku gets up, all of a sudden, the green karma starts to grow on Izuku's hand. As Izuku's confused, but he can feel the surge amount of power just flowing through him. As he immediately rushes in and tries to attack Bakugo. As Bakugo starts to do a barrage of explosions. As Izuku puts out his hand. As all of a sudden, all the explosions absorb into Izuku's karma. As Izuku points his hand out again. As he makes a beam coming out of his karma. As Bakugo nearly dodges it. As he looks behind himself. As he notices the decimated playground behind him. As all of a sudden, Bakugo's inundated with fear. Then Bakugo's stunned by the fear, looking at the explosion as he just can't take his eyes off of it. As Izuku immediately blitzes behind Bakugo and kicks him straight in the ribs, making Bakugo fall over and pass out. As Izuku notices that Bakugo's goons have already ran away seeing the explosion, and the kid that he was protecting has already left as well. As Izuku all of a sudden feels the chakra drain as he also passes out. See, Izuku's still a little kid, and he doesn't have any form or control of his chakra, and he's not even able to manipulate it, or he doesn't have any type of chakra control, which basically means Izuku has no control over his karma seal or anything he's doing at this moment. So when Izuku wakes up, Inko immediately rushes in and hugs Izuku, saying that she's sorry for not telling Izuku everything. As Izuku's confused and asks his mom what happened. As Izuku is just super confused, Inko tells Izuku that she left out a few parts about his backstory and tells Izuku about the Karma Seal and his lineage, telling Izuku that his father was also an Otsutsuki and that he has to be related to the Otsutsuki since he's a half Otsutsuki. As Izuku takes all this in, he's just processing all the information he got, as he's really confused, wondering what he's supposed to do. As Izuku thinks, he realizes that his objective and what he's supposed to do doesn't change. The Otsutsuki still killed his father, and that he will avenge his father since they took away his dad, and he will do everything in his power to defeat the Otsutsuki clan. But then, Izuku realized that he left Bakugo at the playground unconscious. As he immediately asks his mom what happened to Bakugo, Inko tells Izuku that actually Bakugo's in the next room in the hospital. As Izuku immediately rushes into Bakugo's room, Bakugo notices Izuku, snarling at him, asking him why he's here. As Izuku apologizes, telling Bakugo that he didn't mean to hurt him, he just wanted to protect the kid. As Bakugo snarls, and then asks Izuku if that was his quirk. As Izuku's confused, he realizes that Bakugo is asking him about his karma. As Izuku says that it might as well be his quirk. As Bakugo's confused, Izuku leaves Bakugo's room. From that day on, both Izuku and Bakugo had an okay relationship. They weren't the best of friends, but they would usually talk to each other. But both of them knew that both of them were training hard so they can surpass each other. So they kept on training to become stronger than each other, to become the #1 hero. But Izuku had another goal in mind. He had the goal to destroy the Otsutsuki clan. But both Bakugo and Izuku had to become stronger for their goals. And while Izuku was growing up, he was getting better control of his karma. But this still doesn't mean that Izuku has chakra, or he can manipulate the chakra. I'm not gonna give him any type of chakra, abilities, but he's gonna be able to use his karma seal. Cause if he has chakra, that's gonna make him pretty OP, and I don't wanna make him too OP just yet. So while Izuku is training, he's able to control his karma pretty well, but there's a certain time limit, or the certain amount that he can use it before his body feels completely drained and he gets passed out. And Bakugo's probably as strong as the Bakugo in the anime right now, so he's pretty strong even though he's not in UA just yet. But this doesn't mean that Bakugo is stronger than Izuku. Izuku is still pretty strong since he's got the Karma Seal. He gets a full body enhancement. He can fly around. Yes, I said fly around. That's an ability for the Karma Seal. And he also can absorb attacks. And he can also use this Ki Blast type of attack as well. So basically, Izuku is pretty strong. But he can also use Space-Time Ninjutsu. But that's going to come into later. So now we're going to go to the start of the anime. And Izuku's sitting in class just waiting for his teacher, as all of a sudden, the teacher walks in and stands near the podium as he throws the papers into the air, as Izuku realizes those are the career forms, as the teacher starts to tell everyone that he knows that everyone wants to be heroes. As he starts to go through the career forms, the teacher realizes that Bakugo wants to go to UA. As he gets to Izuku, he realizes that Izuku wants to go to UA as well. As Bakugo knows this already and doesn't feel anything because he knows how strong Izuku really is. After both Izuku and Bakugo's class was over, Bakugo walks over to Izuku and asks him if he wants to spar him. As Izuku was confused since Bakugo's never asked him this, ever since the day he almost killed him when they fought at the playground when they were little kids. As Izuku's confused and Bakugo continues at telling him that they might as well test their skills since both of them are going to go to UA, and he wants to see how far he came ever since that day. As Izuku smiles, telling Bakugo that they will, and that he needs to get home quickly since he doesn't feel so well. As Izuku's karma starts acting weird. For the first day of school for that day, Izuku's karma hasn't been acting normally. It's been acting pretty weird, and it starts to activate at random times. As Izuku is walking home, all of a sudden the karma activates, and a horn appears on Izuku's head. As Izuku can feel this, he's super confused and decides that he might as well take a shortcut home because he needs to get home quickly to ask his mom what's going on. As he's taking a shortcut, he goes under a bridge as all of a sudden the sludge monster attacks. As the sludge monster attacks, Izuku easily dodges the sludge monster's attack and immediately punches this, thinking that he doesn't have time for this. As he punches the sludge monster, a huge air pressure of air appears out of nowhere and pushes the sludge monster away. As all of a sudden, All Might comes in and sees Izuku attacking the sludge monster and completely destroying it, as he wonders who this kid really is. As Izuku notices All Might, he immediately starts to fanboy out, asking All Might for an autograph. See, this is still our same Izuku, except that he's a bit more confident, and he has a goal in mind, and he also has a Karma Seal, which makes him kind of OP here. So basically, Izuku starts fanboying out and doing like the regular stuff. As All Might is about to leave, Izuku has a question to ask him, as he grabs on All Might, as All Might didn't even notice. As he notices Izuku, he tries to push him off, but Izuku tells him that if he falls off, he's gonna probably die. But All Might is still kind of confused as Izuku lets go, as All Might wanted to go catch him, but he was still pretty slow. But Izuku started flying, as All Might is surprised. As All Might lands near a rooftop, Izuku lands as well, and gets onto the ground, and asks All Might a question. As Izuku is about to ask All Might the question, All Might immediately poofs, as All Might becomes into Small Might and becomes into like a goddamn skeleton. Izuku is still confused and gets into a fighting stance, thinking that this is a fake All Might. As he's about to punch All Might stops and telling him that he's still All Might. He just has an injury, which basically gives him a time limit that he can use his quirk. As Izuku is stunned and realizes that he must have a time limit just like him, Izuku decides that not to punch this guy. As he asks All Might the question that he was gonna ask him. He was gonna ask him what it felt like, the responsibility after having the world burden on him, like having the responsibility to save the world. As All Might says that he's never felt that burden since he's always focusing on saving a few people at a time and making sure he can save those people. As Izuku realizes this, he decides to follow into All Might's footsteps, as he decides that he might as well follow what All Might said and save a few people at a time and save this world altogether by saving a few people at a time. But then, all of a sudden, All Might sees a huge explosion happen a few blocks away. As All Might looks back at Izuku, he sees that Izuku already blitzed away, as Izuku jumped off the building and starts running toward the explosion. But Izuku still has his Karma Seal activated and a horn. But all of a sudden, Izuku starts to hear a voice telling him that he can teach him how to use the Karma Seal. as Izuku's karma seal starts to grow and it starts to glow green as well, as Izuku can feel a huge burst of power as he immediately blitzed toward the crowd. As Izuku starts to look around, he notices that Bakugo is actually fighting the sludge villain with other heroes. And he also notices that the sludge villain has some hostages with him. But he notices that none of the heroes or Bakugo are doing anything, because they can't do anything or they're going to injure the hostages. As Izuku realizes that what he has to do, he immediately blitzes in and grabs as many hostages as he can and puts them in a safe zone. As all the hostages were saved by Izuku, Bakugo and Izuku still get together, and Bakugo notices Izuku, and both of them decide that they might as well, do like a combo wombo attack on the sludge villain, and both of them get their fists ready and immediately blitz in toward the sludge villain, as both of them attack the sludge villain and they completely decimate the sludge villain. Like, the sludge villain is like non-existent anymore. Like, the sludge villain is like no more molecules. He's dead, okay? He's dead. Yeah, the sludge villain is dead. As everyone is in shock at the amount of power just holded by these two kids. As All Might gets there, he notices that Izuku is just there, holding his fist up, seeing that he defeated the villain. As All Might's impressed with Izuku, as Izuku starts going home that day, still having his karma seal activated, not knowing why it's not going away. As All Might catches him, Izuku freaks out, realizing that it's just All Might. As All Might tells Izuku that he wants to pass on his quirk to him. As Izuku is confused, as he starts to mutter and starts wondering what All Might means. As All Might continues, telling Izuku that he wants to pass down a quirk that was going through generation over generation. As Izuku is confused what All Might means. As All Might starts to explain one for all to Izuku. As Izuku is amazed and sees that as another source of power that he can come to defeat the Otsutsuki when they come back to destroy this planet. As Izuku accepts one for all and asks All Might to train him to use it. And that's where we're going to be ending off the what if. If you guys like the what if, don't forget to like, comment, and share, and do the other stuff. And I almost forgot. Yeah, we're real close to 2K, so if you guys can hit that sub button down there, that red button that has subscribe on it, and hit that bell right next to it as well, that would be amazing, okay? And don't forget to, join the Discord as well. That's where you guys can chat with me and tell me, all your what if ideas. And if there's nothing else, guys, I'll see you guys later.